Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back. If you've been here before, a returning subscriber. If you're new, please hit that thumbs up, that subscribe. We're gonna have a different video today. So get locked and loaded. We're gonna go into a little story time and why I became a Derrick Henry fan and why I think he's the greatest running back that has ever touched the football and why he will rush for 2,000 yards again this season. So if you like stories, definitely, listen, enjoy the smooth tones. And, if you have different thoughts and objections, please share them in the comments. I definitely like a little comment engagement. Without further ado, let's get into it, man. So back in the day, not too long ago, because I'm still in my mid-20s, I was a high schooler. And I played offensive line while I was in high school. Left guard, tackle, sometimes right guard, right tackle. But toward my senior year, I was a guard, just big, mauler, unathletic guys. Well, I'll say the guards are probably the most unathletic people on the field. And I can admit that. But being a child and growing up and enjoying football, you never decided like, hey, I wanted to be an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman is a very unrespected, non-pretty position. Nobody says, hey, I want to be a great left tackle one day, unless you really just grew up into it like that. But what brings you to the game of football is the skilled players, the running backs, the receivers, the DBs, things of that nature, the fast guys, the guys who look cool. So I've always been fascinated by the running backs. I really started to dive deep into running back and started to pay attention to the qualities that made a great running back great. What I don't talk about in my videos is everything that I think has a root to it. I might not give an in-depth statistical analysis of players like, Lonzo Ball, LaMelo, LiAngelo, Derrick Henry, etc., because I've ascended to a point where you can see a player's potential by the way that they play the game. Playing Madden has allowed me to do that, which sounds crazy, right? I used to, play the little connected franchise mode, and I would pay attention to players' development potentials. They would have ratings A, B, C, D, and very rarely could a rating change. But I always thought to myself, why not work on these B's, these C's, and see what a player could be? So I always start to see a potential many years down the line. So we're getting back on point. I seen Derrick Henry in 11th grade going to 12th. I was going across Max Preps, checking out all the top players in high school because I was going into my senior year and I was trying to become, much better, much stronger, much bigger, just a pure mauler. And I came across this running back, 6'3", 237, Yulee, Florida, 4,000 yards rushing. Huh? 4,000 yards? This season? So I watched the highlights. I noticed something immediately. Not only is he the biggest player on the field, he's the fastest player on the field. Instantly I say, okay, it's a lot of big fast guys. I used to watch the top 10 players or the top 10 players per position back at that time frame that Max Preps will put out. I'd seen nothing like him before. I'm like, he doesn't run to where it's heavy. He's very balanced. His vision is very beautiful. The way he reads a hole and knows exactly where to go for it. I said, okay, that's different. I don't really see running backs that gifted to where they just know where to go. Because he would break tackles. But the thing is, when he would break tackles, his next cut was to go toward to scoring. It wasn't to look cute. It was out of pure necessity that he was breaking tackles. He knew he was that guy, but it wasn't for show. It wasn't for flash. It was very goal oriented. So immediately I'm like, okay, this is amazing. So around the time there was this other player named Kelvin Taylor, who was second rushing all time behind Derrick Henry in Florida. And I watched him. I'm like, okay, he has vision, he has this and that, but it just didn't hit the same. I said, not only is this man inches taller, 6'3", almost 6'4", 237. He's faster than Kelvin Taylor. He has more explosiveness. He has more wiggle. And he got a stiff arm. Not only does he lower the shoulder, but that comes naturally at his height. I talked about his abilities that made him a speed back, a scat back, the things that made him special. And I started to grow a liking for that. So I started to follow his career. Freshman year at Alabama, he wasn't starting, but I was watching every game to make sure that I could catch when he got in the game. He got in the game against Arkansas. His first play was an 80-yard run. I literally broke down in tears because I'm like, I called it. I'm like, as soon as I seen the cutback lane, I'm like, he gonna see that. No other running back would. Most running backs would just get a little 5 yards, fall forward, be cool with it. I'm like, he gonna see that cutback lane. And when he burnt the cornerback, the little man to the outside for 80 yards, I said, this is gonna be the best running back ever. Because I already thought that when he was in high school, man rushed for 12,000 yards. But as I seen it on the college level as a true freshman just did that for 80 yards his first play. I've never seen it before. Vision, power, speed, shiftiness, quickness. Greatest running back I've ever seen with my own eyes. And I watched a lot of highlights. Buddy, when YouTube was hot, all I did was watch highlights. I watched the Barry Sanders. I watched the Eric Dickerson. I watched the Emmitt Smith. I watched the AP. I watched the Walter Payton. I watched the Jim Brown. I so much. Gale Sayers. And this is not rehearsed. This is off the top of my head. And I'm thinking about a long time ago. I said, this is the best running back I've ever seen. Just in his ability to get the job done. His ability to take a team to the next level was special. So from that point on, I start saying it like he's going to break every record I've ever seen. And he ended up breaking every record in Alabama. So from that point on, we're dealing with a running back who not only understands how to win at the game of football, he's gifted with a godlike divine talent of being a physical freak of nature and a track athlete. So let's get into the reasons and the conversations I was having at the time. So these conversations will be with friends. It will be a little vulgar language, and I'm going to be very candid. So at this point, let's get into it. And I'm going to explain to them and you now. My mind doesn't think like most people. When I see things exactly for what it is, there's no bias behind it. So the people that I support the raw things that my eyes just saw, and I start to think how great it really can be. So I speak from what my own brain is producing, not what somebody has to tell me. And I'm rarely wrong when it comes to that. I'm not really the type to disrespect people because of what they support and how much they care about it. For me, when I see things that I'm passionate about and things that I know I can, contribute my voice to, my mind, my spirit to, I take it seriously. So sometimes it can come off as deriding. For me, it was just talking football. Football was what I was playing at the time. Football is what I love. And I was noticing that this running back isn't getting enough praise after the college years that he just put up at Alabama. He came into the NFL sitting behind DeMarco Murray. And I watched DeMarco Murray, not fresh, fast, big Dallas Cowboys DeMarco Murray, a washed DeMarco Murray. And I'm looking at this guy come in, make plays, and or get tackled behind the line, but it's because you give him 6-7 carries a game. And then the times he does get a decent amount of carries, he always breaks for a long touchdown. He had, I think, a 72-yard run against the Colts and a 75-yard against the Texans. And I was like, DeMarco Murray ain't did that for us yet. Why is Derrick Henry not playing? So, we start to get into debates. And I'm talking about, bro, this dude is going to be the greatest running back ever. And he's going to be the best running back in the NFL. And he's going to rush for 2,000 yards. And he's going to rush for 2,000 yards again. And that was way back in 2017. And I'm not doing this to toot my own horn or anything of that nature. What I'm saying is, let's give this man his flowers. It's cool that I knew that this would happen a long time ago. That's cool. But let's appreciate this specimen and not just, come in and support him like bandwagon fans, but truly appreciate what we're watching. We're watching a man who is 6'3", almost 6'4", 250 pounds. The fastest, the biggest, the smartest, the shiftiest that we've ever seen for who he is at that size. And not only that, he's a great person. I've always been attracted to great people. And pause, but you know what I mean. As far as Klay Thompson's a great guy, very open, very honest. Every time you ask him a question, he gives you just a true heartfelt answer. That's how I am as a human being. And before I even knew how these people were, like I watched highlights before I knew the kind of person. But somewhere in the universe, my spirit was attracted to a specific something, and I'd start talking about it like it mattered. Above everything else. It was running backs who, quote unquote, were better than Derrick Henry. I never thought they were better than Derrick Henry as far as DeMarco Murray. When I looked at Derrick Henry, I'm like, his attributes, his gifts are too amazing for him to be better than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's vision is too good. His power is too deceptive. It's nothing you can do with a player like that. So then I start watching his interviews, watching him talk, watching the way he prepares, watching the time he puts into his body, watching how he basically just interacts around people. And he's just such a genuine person. I'm not saying that these players are just the perfect human beings off camera, but typically I know when somebody has a good heart. With that being said, for everybody who's watching and you've made it this far and you support Derrick Henry, give him the much needed energy that he needs. Because he's going to set a record for us. He's going to go down as the only running back in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards twice. And it's even crazier that it's back-to-back. Because if I have to be honest, he could do it a third time. But let's appreciate what he's doing right now. Because he's on pace to get for 2,000. He's on pace to get 2,000 yards easily right now. It's not even a question. But once he gets it, we have to give him his flowers early before the media, before all the old media and all the people that quote unquote thought they knew Derrick Henry would be this for such a long time, but they have the platform and never said anything. Just know that we got there first. We put the information out there first. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into the video. Much love. If you've watched a whole 13, almost 14 minutes of this, and like, subscribe, catch me on Flight Sports TV, catch me on King Fuses, The Lit House, occasionally if they allow me on, and I just want to share my thoughts, opinions, my spirit, good energy, bring unity to the people that are around me, and have good talks about the sports. These sports are very powerful within my culture, and I love the way that it's changed lives for many of us. So with that being said, much love. We out. Peace.